Hey, Cherene Francis here. Did you know I started my acting career in my 30s? You know, they say that you should start when you're a child or a teen, or at least when you're in your youth. And I consider myself in my youth, but technically I started late. And so I'm here to share my story of how I started my acting career in my 30s. If you're in your 30s or getting around there, or maybe even beyond, and you want to know what it's like to transition into a career as an actor, then this video is for you. Like and share it and comment. Let me know how old you were when you started acting. For a lot of us that pursue a career in acting, it is a dream. It's a lifelong thing that you've always wanted to do. And for me, it was exactly that. So first, let me tell you why I started an acting career late. I actually always wanted to be an actor. As a child, I would put on plays, write scripts, perform in front of my school assembly. I would coordinate groups of students just to put on a production. And it was always something that I wanted to do and saw myself. I actually would sign my name and tell people to hold on to the signature because I was going to be famous. That was me. And so I remember when I was in my high school season, and it's that time when you pick your electives for school and your major, and you decide what you want to be when you grow up. And for me, I actually was on a standstill because I had a disconnect between career and acting. In my culture at the time, it just was taboo to be an actor. It was seen as something that was impossible. You would never make money as an actor, let alone make it as an actor. So I never pursued that career. And there were even times when I did jump into the industry and then jump back out. And so, especially after I had kids and had my life going, I never started. However, I decided to jump back in 2017 after I produced my own TV talk show. It was amazing. I loved the camera. I loved the process. I loved being on set. I loved everything about it. And it was an aha moment for me that this was what I was supposed to be doing. And also, it had been gnawing at me forever. I remember watching movies and being like, oh my gosh, that's me. I can do that. I want to do that. And I would cry literally because I wasn't acting. So, I mean, it was just something that I really wanted to do. So after 2 successful seasons of my talk show, I decided that I would start taking acting classes again. And I did classes, built myself up, built up my confidence, and got an agent. And this was when I was about 31 now. It was a rough start, I will say. I had to redo my headshots. I got them done, but I had to redo them again. I had to figure out, what was my essence, what was my brand, what was I good at. And it took a while for me to get into the flow of selling myself as an actor. I'm in the Toronto market, and so it was also an industry where there was a lot of resources around on how to start an acting career in LA or in New York or in bigger markets. And so getting a foothold on what to do in Toronto, there was nothing much around. It was just really trial and error or whatever an acting coach would tell me, which sometimes conflicted with what was actually going on in the industry. So, I showed up every day. I made sure I submitted my auditions on time. I practiced. And this is how it's going. So I would say about 2 years into my career, I finally started booking a lot. I booked a lot of commercials. I booked a few TV series, and it was great. It wasn't consistent or predictable, and nor is it where I want to be, but I was actually surprised at how I was able to make a career and a living as an actor. Now, would I say that I didn't have another job or something supporting my career? No, I did always have another gig that was more predictable. And I made sure, though, that that never got in the way of my acting. Now that I feel a lot more comfortable in the film and television industry, I also decided to take on other pursuits, such as producing my own content. Now, I already had a little bit of experience when I produced my own talk show, but doing something with scripted content and, fictional characters, all of that was a whole nother ball game. And so I did go back and get some classes on business and producing and how the camera works and all of that good stuff so that I could produce a successful film. And that's what I did. You could watch my previous video on producing my first short film. So, before I answer the question of whether you should transition or try this acting thing out in your 30s or plus, put in the comments below how old you are and whether or not you've started already, or if you're just kind of thinking of putting your foot in the pond. I want to know who I'm talking to. So, let me share with you the downfalls and the positives of starting late. So, the first thing I would say is yes, there are other actors your age that might have started way before you. They have probably bigger credits and more experience and a beefier reel to showcase what they can do. And so, yes, that is a downfall that we started a little bit late. However, there's always going to be a role for your age category, and somebody that's maybe more experienced is going to be competing for bigger roles while you are competing for smaller roles. People that have a lot of experience might be turning down those smaller roles. So think of it that way. There's always going to be someone needed for the small roles too. And so if you are starting at your age, I'm sure you'll still be able to book a small role. Another downfall, which I think is always going to be a part of the acting industry, is that yes, it is unpredictable, and yes, you do need to find a way to maintain your lifestyle. And so it doesn't quite change. You will need to think about what you're going to do as you're building your actors portfolio, as you make connections and build relationships in the industry. And I think for someone that's a little bit older, the concern is, well, I have kids and I have to start thinking about retirement, and you might have just a lot more things to cover as opposed to a young child or teenager that is staying at home and supported by their parents. So that is something that you want to think about. For me, I do content creation. Me and my husband have a digital marketing agency. And so that was something that was really flexible that I made my own schedule around. You will need to think about how you are going to sustain yourself. Now, here are the positives of starting late. I have so much life experience, especially when it comes to communication, business savvy, connecting. Everything from my past career experience I can bring to my experience as an actor. Lots more maturity, lots more understanding about how humans work. And so that is it's just really good to know that I'm bringing a breadth of wisdom and experience to my craft. The other thing that's great is that I have less confidence issues. I don't know about you, but when I was a teen, growing up as a young woman, I had a lot of confidence issues, body image issues. There was no way that I would be able to maintain that in an industry that's so full of rejection. And so the fact that I'm older and more mature and a lot more confident with who I am, it makes it easier for me to stand in front of people and audition. The other positive thing is that I feel a lot more purposeful in my career. And so before, as a young person going in, a lot of it was just like, this is fun. I love entertaining people. There's a lot of glamour in the industry. Those were the driving reasons as to why I wanted to continue my career as an actor. But now there's so much more. And what I've realized is I enjoy being in front of people. I enjoy sharing stories. I love shining my light. And I truly believe that I have something to offer. I believe that I can tell stories that not only teach and entertain, but that transform lives. And so for me, especially at this age where I'm a lot more mature, I can bring that maturity and bring that purposefulness to my work. And I think that that is probably the biggest reason why starting when I'm older was probably best for me. And so that brings me to the last thing, which is should you transition into acting when you're 30 plus years old? And it comes right back down to purposefulness and if you really want to do it. I've had friends and people that come to me that say, you know what, Cherene, I want to start acting. And they're around my age or maybe even older. And they kind of approach it with a hobby idea or they just want to give it a try. If you're just wanting to give it a try, I don't think you should do it. You have to really, really want to do it. You have to like really, really, really want to do it because it's just a lot of work and you won't see a return on your investment right away. It might be a year or more, and you might really get resentful of just doing some work that's just not really your alley. Like there's certain commercials that I've had to do that I just were so distasteful and not what I really wanted to do as an actor. And in the beginning, you might have to pick up some jobs that you don't really want to do. Unless you're content and you're just going to sit around and wait for that big thing to come your way, it does take a lot of hustle and grind in the beginning. And so you have to really want to do it. And you have to really have a game plan and really have grit to go through the beginning stages, especially when you're starting out in your 30s and plus. So it's not that it's hard, which it is, but it's mainly the commitment level without seeing a return right away. It really is about sowing those seeds, planting seeds, watering, protecting from weeds, protecting your confidence, and nurturing the craft, going for it, going for it, going for it, going for it. And then finally, something blossoms, something blooms, but that takes time. So you have to really want it and be willing to put in the work and even sacrifice things that your time or other things that might be distractions to your pursuit as an actor. So, what questions do you have about starting your acting career in your 30s and up? If this has been helpful, please go ahead, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one.